Good morning, students. We start today a topic, relative pronouns. Now the topic relative pronoun must be new for you. The word pronoun must not be new for you. Let's revise, let's recall what is a pronoun. Pronoun is actually a word which is used to replace the noun, the proper noun. Sometimes a common noun also is replaced by the pronoun. So like if I have to write an essay on, they say my favorite person. So I would say my favorite person. I'll take my own example. My favorite person is Ma'am Sunaina. Ma'am Sunaina teaches us English. Ma'am Sunaina also teaches social studies in the school. So I'm going on repeatedly saying Ma'am Sunaina, Ma'am Sunaina. Now if I don't want this repetition, I would use a word which would replace that particular noun. So I would replace it with she. So the word she over here is the pronoun. For the feminine gender it would be she. For the masculine gender it would be he. For living, non-living things and animals it would be it. Group it would be we where you are there. If you are not there then it would be they, 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 us. All these are pronouns. So what is the meaning of relative pronoun for today? Let's see. I have written two sentences on the board over here. This is the boy, he won the first prize. These are two sentences. Now what I will do is, I will join these two sentences using one word. So I would join by saying, this is the boy who won the first prize. This is the boy who won the first prize. This is the word which I used to join these two sentences. This would be called a relative pronoun, and why is it called a relative pronoun in the very first place? I will explain it to you. Firstly, it doesn't look like a pronoun. Why am I calling it a pronoun? I just said pronouns replace or they are used in the context of the noun. This is the boy. Over here, this is your noun. The word who has been used for the boy, that is why it will be called as a pronoun. So this is the boy who won the first prize. This particular word helped us in joining these two main clauses and helped us in turning it into one sentence. That is why it is called a relative pronoun. I repeat, the word who has been used in the context of the noun. That is why it is a pronoun. And then it has helped us in joining these two sentences, these two main clauses. That is why it is called as a relative pronoun. Now we have many relative pronouns, amongst which few cite examples of who, whose, whom, which, that. These are the five major relative pronouns which you will come across, and you ought to know where what is to be used. Now amongst the pronouns which I just said, who, whose and whom will be used only and only for human beings. I add on a new version of addition over here. That is also now allowed for human beings. So who, whose, whom, that can be used for human beings, amongst which these three will be exclusively used for human beings only. Okay? Then that and which will be used for objects, non-living things, I would say, and animals. Non-living things and animals. Keep that in mind. So these are the relative pronouns which you want to come across. Who, whose, whom for exclusively for human beings. That also can be used for human being. That and which can be used for animals and non-living things. Keep that in mind. Sometimes an answer both can be applicable for an answer for a question. That in which both can be applicable, where I'll give you the answer is correct. If you write either of the two, and if it's applicable in that context, I will give you the mark. Here's another example for you on the board. Again, I have written two separate sentences. She is the girl. Her parents live abroad. Now, to join these two sentences, these two clauses, I use the relative pronoun whose. So, the sentence which was joined, and it is the new sentence which has come up over here after joining these two with the help of a relative pronoun is, she is the girl whose parents live abroad. Now, one very crucial thing what you need to remember over here when you use relative pronouns to join the sentences is, this is the subject of both the sentences. We are talking about the girl in the first sentence and we are talking about her parents only in the second sentence. So this is the subject of both the sentences. In relative pronouns, there's one term used for the subject which we talk about. It's called the antecedent. So the girl over here is the antecedent. The most important thing you have to remember while joining two sentences with the help of a relative pronoun is, the relative pronoun will get added or will be immediately written after the antecedent. If your relative pronoun does not follow the antecedent or is not written exactly after it, then the combination of the sentence which you will make would be absolutely wrong. So keep that in mind before solving the exercise. This is the most important thing you have to remember, that you have to write the relative pronoun, may it be who, whose, whom, which, that, whatever you use, it should immediately follow the subject of both the sentence, which in English terminology would be called the antecedent of the sentence. If you fail in doing so, if your relative pronoun doesn't follow the antecedent, then your answer would be wrong. There are two types of relative pronouns. I have written in the form of a flowchart over here. Defining and non-defining. Now, there are some striking features, the punctuation marks, which tell you whether they are defining or non-defining. First, let me tell you what is a defining relative clause and what is a non-defining relative clause. Now, we caught the man who had stolen the bicycle. That's your first example. We caught the man who had stolen the bicycle. Okay? So here, the first part of the sentence says, we caught the man. Now, when you read only that part of the sentence, when these two particular sentences were separate, the two separate sentences would be, we caught the man, full stop. He had stolen the bicycle, full stop. So when we joined these two, we wrote, we caught the man who had stolen the bicycle. Now here this sentence, this particular part, the second part, who had stolen the bicycle, is a clause, and it's a defining relative clause because it helps us in telling which man was that particular man. What had he done? There were several people around over there, and then you caught only one man out of them, in particular pinpointing at that particular person, which one? Who had stolen the bicycle. So these kind of defining relative clauses tell you specific information out of an entire crowd, pinpointing at one particular direction and saying, I am talking about this particular thing or this particular event or this particular human being. So the defining relative clause would have, if you would have noticed, the second one has got a set of two commas over here, but the first one doesn't have, because there is no break in the pronunciation at all, and we are giving an information which specifies who that person was, or what are we talking about, or which non-living thing are we giving information about. Now see the second one. My brother, I gave a break in my speech, who lives in Delhi, again I gave a break in my speech, is a doctor. So when I gave a break in my speech, I have to put commas. That means this relative clause has been separated. this particular part of it has been separated by commas. Now why this particular thing has been separated? There's a reason behind it. There are two pieces of information in this particular sentence. My brother lives in Delhi was the first sentence. My brother is a doctor is the next sentence. So here two pieces of information have been given. That means we are giving you extra information about the antecedent. Here it was specific information about the antecedent, and here you have extra information about the antecedent. So my brother, one piece of information that he lives in Delhi, the second piece of information that he is a doctor. So one piece of information, one relative clause I separated by commas, and the other one has been written normally. So my brother who lives in Delhi is a doctor is a non-defining clause because it does not pinpoint at something. It gives you extra piece of information over there. So the very good striking punctuation mark which helps you, the difference which helps you in telling that it's defining or non-defining is, defining one will not have any commas and non-defining one will have a set of commas. That means two commas you will see in your sentence. So in your exercise you will be coming across both. So either you will have to join the sentence this way, which shows specific information. Either you have to join the sentence this way in context with the demand of the question over there, whether it would be a defining or a non-defining. And non-defining, if it is non-defining, it will have two pieces of information. So we'll have to separate one piece of information by commas and incorporate one in the front and one at the back, and then join the sentence. Wherein specific doesn't need any commas, but remember, in both the cases, see, my brother over here is the antecedent. The pronoun immediately comes behind it, the relative pronoun. Here, we caught the man, we are talking about the man only. The man was only caught and he only stole the bicycle. So this is the antecedent. Again, the pronoun came here only. So antecedent should be accompanied by the relative pronoun. Please remember this basic point so that you can do your exercise very well. So there don't make mistakes at all. That's all for this lecture. Thank you, dear.